Madam President, I rise this afternoon to bring further attention to the growing humanitarian and national security crisis we see at our southern border. President Biden and Vice President Harris's handling of the southern border has been as incompetent as it has been inhumane. This is not a partisan view. Their own special envoy to Haiti has resigned in protest. This administration is in denial. It's in denial about the scope of this crisis. Migrant crossing into the United States has already reached historic levels, and as I speak, thousands continue to arrive along our U.S.-Mexico border. Since taking office, President Biden and Vice President Harris have shirked responsibility for this crisis by placing blame on the historic levels of illegal crossing on everything from COVID-19 to climate change to former President Trump. They are hoping Americans will forget that President Biden's first order of business was to repeal nearly every immigration policy of the previous administration. The Biden administration's talking points say our borders are closed, but their actions indicate just the opposite. More than 12,000 of the Haitians that gathered under the bridge in Del Rio over the past week have been released into the country. This is not a new policy. Tens of thousands of migrants who have illegally crossed our borders have been released since President Biden took office. Many were released without a court date and given nothing more than a list of ICE offices around the country with instructions to report within 60 days. Unsurprisingly, it was reported in July that nearly 87% of the 50,000 individuals released without a court date failed to report as directed. This is a clear message that if you make it to the United States, you will be allowed to stay without facing repercussions. This encourages families to make the dangerous trek north and entrust their safety to dangerous drug cartels at the risk of being murdered, assaulted, or trafficked because the reward is worth the risk. The Haitian refugees who recently began arriving at the U.S.-Mexico border are evidence of that mindset. They believed the administration's actions, not their words. They watched as thousands were allowed to stay in the country, and they gambled. They gambled that they too would get the same treatment. That after living nearly a decade in countries like Brazil and Chile, now was the time to come. Nearly 9 months into the Biden presidency, it is irrefutable that this administration's policies are increasing the crisis, both for our security and the humanity of people. The historic levels of crossing at the southern border has not only created this humanitarian crisis and put an incredible strain on our immigration system, but has seriously compromised our national security. In April, a few months ago, I visited the border and had the opportunity to speak with agents of the FBI and DEA to hear firsthand how the crisis has affected their operations and the challenges it has created for them in carrying out their mission to disrupt transnational criminal organizations and apprehend major drug traffickers. The cartels that operate in Central America are sophisticated, adaptable, and ruthless. Not only do they take advantage of individuals attempting to trek to our southern border by forcing them to pay thousands of dollars to fund their operations and subject them to abuse, rape, and murder, they use these individuals to their strategic advantage. They will send thousands of individuals across the border at the same time in an attempt to overwhelm while cartels bring drugs and guns undetected. Just today, the DEA issued a public safety alert to warn against the alarming increase in counterfeit prescription pills containing fentanyl and meth that are being trafficked in the United States. Thus far this year, more than 9.5 million counterfeit pills have been seized, a rate that puts 2021 on a path to more seizures than the last 3 years combined. This is no coincidence. Mr. President, Madam President, the administration's decision to continue ignoring this humanitarian and national security crisis is allowing a horrible situation to get even worse. Actions always speak louder than words. The Biden administration must take immediate action to secure the border and enforce our immigration laws. Madam President, I yield the floor.